When I saw that Quibi was offering a 90-day free trial, 90 days, I assumed it was because they needed lots of runway to get people interested, get them excited, and most importantly, get them talking about Quibi. Now, I still think that that's mostly the reason for that, but now, after a couple of technical hiccups, I'm wondering if Quibi is using the general public for 90 days worth of beta testing. But I am getting a little ahead of myself. We've had Quibi for a few days now, and my goal in today's video is to give you, again, the basics on what Quibi is, answer a few questions that you might have about the service, give my opinion on whether it's any good, and at the very end, I'm going to give some great advice to the Quibi executives. I hope they're looking forward to it. So, let's dive in. Alright, if by the end of this video you've found it helpful, make sure you hit that like button. I would much appreciate it. Now, let's dive into Quibi a little bit. Now, I talked about this last week, about kind of the basics of what Quibi is, but in case you missed that video, here's the quick rundown. Quibi is a streaming service, a mobile-only streaming service. It has two major selling points. First of all, everything is done in segments of 5 or 10 minutes, so it's really quick stuff meant to be consumed on the go. And the second selling point is Turnstyle. Now, Turnstyle means that you can shift your phone into portrait or landscape, and it's going to shift the way that you watch the shows on your phone, at least in theory. We're going to talk more about Turnstyle. Now, Turnstyle is why Quibi is all mobile only. This is really phone-based even more than tablets. It's not really meant for tablets. They do work, but it's not optimized for that. And you're certainly not going to be able to watch it on your TV, a game system, a laptop, anything like that. This is mobile only. Now, Quibi goes for $5 or $8 a month, depending on whether or not you want to pay for no commercials. But a little pro tip, by the way, that 90-day free trial that I mentioned, you can get that if you sign up by April 30th. And I would just say do the $8 a month plan for at least 90 days so you don't have to watch commercials, because you get that for free. Okay, now that Quibi has been out for a couple of days, let's answer a few questions that we now can answer. For instance, can you have multiple profiles on your Quibi account? No, you cannot. Since a phone isn't shared the way that a TV is, I guess they figured they didn't need to split accounts into different profiles. So, one email address, one account, one profile. And that's just the way it is. Now, can you share that profile? Yes, you can. You can share it out. I had my wife log in on her phone using my credentials with no problem. Now, they say you can only have one concurrent stream at a time, but we actually both watched different shows at the same time with no problem. I tested it out with somebody else who was not on the same IP address as I was, and we were still able to do that. So I don't know if that's something that they're going to crack down on later, but for now, it looks like you can have at least 2 simultaneous streams, no matter what they say.
Exactly.
So, does the Quibi app actually work? Well, yes, it does, eventually. And this is the technical issue that I mentioned up top. What happened was I downloaded the Quibi app, and then every time I tried to watch a show, it wouldn't play anything. So I restarted the app, nothing worked. Finally, I did a full phone restart, and that seemed to kick it into gear, and it has worked since then. But I don't know what was going on there. And hopefully you are having a better experience with your initial Quibi viewing than I did. And of course, the big question is, are the shows any good? Well, look, I'm not exactly a critic of the content itself, but I will have to talk about it a little bit. So let's call this one hit or miss. Mostly miss, but that's just a matter of personal taste. It's not really my flavor for the most part. What struck me most as I watched Quibi was how cheap a lot of it looked. Now, that's understandable, I guess, given the sheer amount of programming they're trying to create, but still. And now, look, I haven't watched everything on Quibi, so I'm happy to revise this later, but my impression of most of the shows so far is low-budget production with high-budget celebrities. That's kind of the way it goes. Now, the exception to that is the movies they have. They do have 3 different categories. They have their little teeny shows that they put out every day. They do have news and other daily kind of events like that. And then they have movies. So they are putting out movies in 10-minute segments. And this is the exception to that cheap feeling that I was getting from a lot of their stuff. The movies like Survive, or Most Dangerous Game, those do seem legit, and you can kind of see where the budget went. Now, for what it's worth, I didn't think Survive was very good. Most Dangerous Game is at least a serviceable movie, but, again, I'm not exactly a content critic. Now, as for my opinion of the Quibi platform generally, here's the thing. The Quibi format works much better on a simple concept, short program like Chrissy's Court or Punk'd. In fact, Punk'd was great because it was such a simple concept, it doesn't deserve or need more than the 6 minutes that the first episode took. You got your setup, your prank, your reaction, perfect, 6 minutes. Now, the one nice thing that I can say about all of this is that it provides a more convenient off-ramp if you're not really enjoying something. Like I said, Survive, starring Sophie Turner, not really my thing. I wasn't enjoying it. So it was easy when I got to the end of one part to just peace out and not watch the rest of it. Now, the other major selling point for Quibi, like I said earlier, is Turnstyle. Turnstyle allows you to turn the phone and watch a program in either landscape, like a normal human being, or portrait mode, like a weirdo.
What, are you crazy?
All right, now, let's be fair. There are pros and cons here, and I did try to watch as much portrait mode as possible for you. So let's take Punk'd again as our example. In landscape mode, it was shot and edited just like a normal TV show. In portrait mode, they did do some clever split screen stuff that let me see a couple of things going on at once. But unfortunately, that's probably the nicest thing I have to say about it. Watching a movie in portrait mode is stupid and painful. So we were promised that Turnstyle would be cool and different and would enhance the watching experience. But in reality, for the most part, they just cropped a regular image so that in portrait mode, everything is super zoomed in on characters' faces. Yeah, it's really annoying, isn't it?
Extreme close-up! Wah! Wah! Wah!
It ruins most of the dialogue scenes in movies by forcing the editing into a constant camera A, camera B style. And while Liam Hemsworth is a perfectly handsome man, I don't need to be able to constantly count his beard hairs. They just kind of make me jealous anyway. Now, even where it mostly worked, like on Punk'd, as I said, there are weird moments there too. Like when Chance the Rapper is kind of swaying side to side and the portrait mode has to follow him around in a sort of nausea-inducing way. I didn't really care for it. So we were promised some cool stuff with Turnstyle, and maybe that's still coming. But, they've got, 86, 85 days now to prove to me that Turnstyle is worthwhile. The bottom line here on Quibi is that I wish this was a lot cooler than my experience has been so far. I love the idea of shaking things up, but I don't think Quibi is the mobile video revolution that it promised to be. So here's the return of a segment I like to call Craig's unsolicited advice to the well-paid executives at Quibi. Oh, and before I start, don't forget, all right, Quibi executives, you chose the wrong selling point. You tried to sell this as a mobile-only, on-the-go thing, and, hey, maybe that'll still work out once we're all let out of our homes again. But the problem with the phone-only thing is that we're all watching stuff on our phones already. So your selling point isn't, finally, you can watch stuff on your phone. I mean, we've got Instagram and YouTube for that. Instead, you should turn Quibi into a celebrity playground, celebrity YouTube, or something along those lines. Keep your time restriction, ditch Turnstyle, and concentrate not on movies, but on cheap, quick, fun content like Chrissy's Court, and maybe you'll have something here. But hey, just because my opinion is always right, it's still my opinion. So what do you think? Hit the comments below. Tell me what your experience has been if you have tried Quibi. If you haven't, let me know if you plan to. And on your way down there, again, give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss more streaming and other content here at Reviews.org. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time.